And we are back with another episode of From the Rafters. Sam and I are here recording on a Tuesday, and we're here with the host of the Banner Banter Podcast, Timmy G. How you doing today, man?
Good. Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
So, yeah, thank you for joining us. Just got back from your trip and came back to a flurry of news around the Celtics.
At least. Thank God there was Wi-Fi on the flight, so I can keep up about madness.
Absolutely brutal. Obviously, the trade deadline's coming up March 25th, just 2 days away now, and plenty of stuff going on, whether you like it or not. The biggest news in our eyes, I know Sam and I were talking about this, Marcus Smart apparently, quote unquote, knows or thinks he's being dealt, which would break my heart. I know, Sam.
I think that's clickbait by KJ, by the way.
No. This was on a podcast. Chris Vernon said he had sources saying Marcus knows, which is the Ringer podcast. Chris Vernon said Marcus knows. Kevin O'Connor's on the podcast as well. So I'm assuming if he's there, they're not going to fake that
Kevin
type
O'Connor,
of news.
Exposed today. No,
yeah, Kevin O'Connor definitely got exposed today by Kemba and Jalen.
Kemba and Jalen.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I did see that. We'll get to that in a little bit.
And it's crazy that Kevin O'Connor was exposing literally his favorite team and a team he used to have season tickets for, which I always think is just wild to me that he would just stay off limits to make sure that no Celtics player would ever hate him. But today, that news that he broke today, and then Jalen responding and Kemba responding to Jalen's response, not a good look for the Ringer today at all.
Definitely not great. And hey, that leaves me a little hope that maybe the Marcus Smart news is also, a little bit of BS out there, because that would break my heart. Marcus Smart not in the Boston Celtics uniform. It's just like, Sam, what do you say? Is the Pope Catholic? Like the two things that go together, Marcus Smart, the Celtics, they got to go together, right, Sam? What were you saying to me in the group, in our group chat?
Oh yeah, I said I was talking to the guys. I was like, listen, if he gets traded, like I'll cry, and I'm not doing a bit, like I'm serious. Like I love that guy. Like that guy is the Celtic captain right now, whether they announce it formally or not. He's been here for 7-8 years now. I mean, how can you not love him? He plays hard every game. It's tough to get. I mean, he deserves to be a part of the team if they win. It just reminds me of the Isaiah Thomas thing. Like, it'll be the same kind of response from the national media, I would imagine. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, it's different just because, like, I know you guys are probably a lot younger than I am. So I feel like Marcus Smart is like the guy that you guys watched growing up for like a really, really long time. So it makes a lot of sense. But like my whole thing is with the Marcus thing, I'd be heartbroken. It would suck. But I also think that Marcus isn't going to re-sign after next season because A, they won't have the money to do it. And B, some team will overpay, and I don't think Marcus is going to take another hometown discount like he did for his last contract. So I feel like it's eventually going to happen. It's just, do you want it to happen now or next summer? And I just can't imagine Marcus Smart signing anything less than, let's say, $22 or $23 million. And that is something that the Celtics cannot afford. And I hate to play devil's advocate in that way, but like that's just being like realistic. Like unless he wants to come back for the same amount of money, I don't think he deserves that, because I think he deserves to be paid, especially since this is probably his last major deal, because he's going to be 26, 27 at that point, and then by the time that deal's over, he's going to be 32, and he's not going to be able to play the same way that he had throughout his 20s. So I feel like this could be his last big opportunity to get paid. So from the business side of it, I'm okay with it, but from the fan side of it, it sucks.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. I know Sam talks about a lot. You talk about him taking a discount, something Al Horford, a lot of people expected him to do.
I would have put my house on Horford doing it, and he didn't do it. So, I mean, I was about to you're absolutely right, Jack. I was absolutely dead wrong about that. And I was going to say, well, I don't know. He seems, Marcus, he seems to absolutely love it here. But, I've been wrong before. I can absolutely be wrong again. I mean, I hope I'm right.
Yeah, no, I hope you're right, too. I just don't think that, like, Marcus can see himself making $5 or $6 million less per year for the next 5 years just because he loves Boston that much. And we could be wrong. Hopefully he does do that, because that would help the team win a championship. But again, he would be like probably the fourth or fifth option at that point, and I don't think he likes being the fourth or fifth scoring option on the floor sometimes.
And yeah, that's totally fair too, because Marcus has improved his shooting this year. It's gotten to the point where I'm not cringing anymore when he takes a three, because for a while there it was like, oh, please go in, but
yeah, no,
he's getting to the point.
It's just his shot selection. Like
Yeah.
if he has an open shot 3 or 4 years ago, we're all covering our eyes. But now when he has an open shot, we're like, okay, chest out, we're feeling confident about it. I mean, last night some of the shots that he took
take it in the chin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, last night some of his shot selection was against the Grizzlies was atrocious at times, but there was no one else to score the ball unless it was going to Jeff Teague, which again makes us all want to throw up probably. So even though he did play really well, so I don't know. I think Marcus thinks, and this isn't like a bash on him, and I don't blame him because you like to have players to have this much confidence. I just think Marcus thinks that he should be a top 2 scoring option on the team, and he's not.
Yeah.
I don't know if he feels that way. I don't know. I feel like he buys into the role.
Well, in the bubble, I would disagree. Maybe
in the bubble, absolutely.
Like,
he tried to take on a bigger load. He did a decent job in his defense. He was excellent in the Raptors series for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, what was that? Where he scored like 16 straight points by himself?
He had the 5 threes in a row.
Yeah, like
that was unbelievable.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. I just don't see him doing that again. And the other thing is, if you don't like the fact that he could leave, I also don't see him doing that for another team being a top scoring option either, which may help him staying as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty wild. Like you could look at it from all different angles.
It depends on his commitment to wanting to win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In my mind, I think he's got to be one of the top competitive guys in the league. I don't think he wants to be on a team that's not competing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And the fact
that's why it's such a big mystery for everybody. Because, I mean, I don't know if they're allowed to do this, but if I'm Ainge, I'm talking to him. I feel like you should be transparent with your people, if you can, especially in a situation like this. Like he's rumored in trades, and say like, listen, if you want to re-sign, we'll be more aggressive to keep you.
Yeah, but then
I don't know if you're allowed to do that, if it's tampering or not. I mean, it's your own guy. I feel like you can talk to him. About that,
I'm sure there are worse things that have gone on behind the scenes, but the whole thing is you can't really sign him to probably anything more than what he's making right now unless you get rid of Kemba. Just because next year Tatum's extension comes into the mix. If he makes all NBA, it goes up even more. They're going to be in the tax, and that means they'll be the team in the tax. Isn't it like 3 out of every 4 years if you're in the tax, you get charged a little bit more every single time? And this was the one season the Celtics didn't, but the past 2 years they have. So next year they will be. So that will also affect how they spend. So, I mean, I think that Kemba, I would rather have Kemba go to the Magic. It makes a lot of sense. His former coach was
I would like
in the
that
Magic
too.
right now. I love Kemba. It sucks that he has the knee issue. He seems like to be the nicest guy in the world. He has a beautiful smile, as we all see every single night. But like going back to his former coach, playing for a couple of years, helping Cole Anthony out, helping Markelle Fultz out, I feel like would be a good thing for the Magic. And sure, his money going up every single year sucks. I mean, the fact that, Kemba is going to be making I think $37.5 million next season is brutal, especially for the Celtics. But I feel like for a team like the Orlando Magic, it's not brutal because minus Vujacic, if they get rid of Gordon and Fournier, they don't have anyone else on the books. So perfect world, Kemba goes, Marcus stays, and then you have Aaron Gordon and Marcus Smart on a contract year going balls to the wall next year. I mean, that's just the dream scenario, I feel like.
Yeah, and I want to talk about Kemba too, but before that, what do you trade Smart for, right? Because obviously, the contract situation you bring up, but there's got to be a point where you balance like his value on the court next season at the very least versus giving him up for too little, right? Because obviously Aaron Gordon's a great piece to bring back. Evan Fournier is a great piece to bring back, but I feel like Marcus Smart and 2 first-round picks, which is what I've heard the asking price is. I'm sure you guys have seen that too. Are you willing to give all of that up for Gordon and Fournier, or would you rather look towards like a John Collins deal, even though they've been asking for Jaylen Brown, which is just absolutely ridiculous?
Well, I feel like the John Collins deal, you're in a little bit better shape because he's a restricted free agent, so you can try and match it. The same situation with Lonzo Ball too, which I know Celtics fans would love Lonzo Ball, and again, he's a restricted free agent, so that helps the situation a little bit. But I don't know. I feel like if you give up Smart and he walks, or if you don't give up Smart and he walks, or you give up Smart and then Aaron Gordon walks. It's like a lose-lose kind of. But at the same time, the team needs a shakeup.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm glad I'm not Danny Ainge.
Very
Me
true.
too.
Yeah, very true. Sam, what's your
It's
value?
incredible how many people would love to be Danny Ainge on Twitter.
I mean,
They all want his job.
To have one of those Chipotle black cards, I would love to be Danny Ainge, but like that's probably about it.
That's all I want. I'll take the card and then I'll run from that job because that stuff. And he put himself in the hole too, in a sense, right? Saying this team's not good enough. Everyone's like, well, Danny, what are you going to do about it if it's not good enough? Like, realistically, you come out and say that makes you think he's going to make a move, right? Because him saying that and then not doing anything is like kind of misleading. I don't know. I brought up the Danny Ainge thing. I don't think it's his fault. Obviously, the roster could be a bit better. I don't think it's Brad Stevens' fault either. I don't like that narrative. And to some degree, it's not completely the player's fault. It's probably a mix of everybody. But the whole blame game thing gets frustrating after a while when people are just yelling it for no reason. But yeah, you bring up Kemba Walker, right? And Sam and I talked about this on our last episode. Kemba Walker for Aaron Gordon and Evan Fournier is something I would pull the trigger on immediately, even if I have to throw in a pick, right? Because then you're keeping Smart, who is younger. Kemba's been pretty inconsistent this season to where you get two reliable three-point shooters, a switchable defender in Aaron Gordon. And although Fournier is an unrestricted free agent, you get him for this season. You don't re-sign him next season. You still get off the Kemba contract anyways. What do you think about a deal like that? Because the Magic do really like Kemba Walker, so it's said.
Well, I like it because I think the money works out since the Celtics are hard capped. And I feel like a lot of people are thinking that as long as they get rid of Tristan Thompson, that they're not going to be hard capped because that's the $9 million. But you're hard capped for the entire season, whether you get rid of Kemba, Marcus, Tristan, Jason, whoever, Jalen, no matter who they get rid of, they're hard capped. So contract wise, I think it's best for the team. And then it also gives an opportunity for Peyton Pritchard to grow because now he's going to be the number 2 guy running the offense. And especially if Marcus Smart leaves the following summer, now you have your future point guard in Peyton Pritchard. He'll be in year 3. So that's a good thing. Or you would think, because I mean, he's been but I feel like he's hit the rookie wall a little bit. And I'm sure the rookie walls this year for a lot of the players is ridiculous because of the schedule and the amount of games and, how many games and
no fans
and no fans and all that. And yeah, I mean, a perfect world, it's Kemba. But if you're a GM, my whole thing with Celtics Twitter is fun and hilarious and annoying as it is. It's like people just think that GMs are okay with saying, yeah, we'll take Grant Williams, even though we all bitch about him. Yeah, I don't want Grant Williams, but like what GMs, what GM is looking at Romeo Langford or Jeff Teague or Kemba Walker and saying, oh, they're worth it. Yeah, that's the other side we have to look at. And
I don't know if they watched yesterday, but Jeff Teague.
Yeah, I know. But like, if you were to watch the start of that fourth quarter, the first 3 minutes of that fourth quarter in the Grizzlies game with no Kemba, with no Jason, with no Jalen, and no Marcus on the floor, if I was the Magic GM and I saw Danny Ainge's phone call the next day, I would have ignored his phone call because it just looked so bad. But those were the guys that you hope can be a young player that they take. So I would love Kemba to be traded contract wise. I think he's a good locker room guy. I think they need a good locker room guy because who's going to yell at Jason Tatum in his very dull attitude if I don't see Aaron Gordon or Evan Fournier doing that, but Marcus Smart will. But, you listen to someone, I was listening to Sports Hub today, which is probably my own fault, but they kind of brought up a good point because Cam Newton's the guy. And so many people like Cam Newton in that locker room because he's so vocal. And people respect that. But it might hold back a Jared Stidham because he doesn't have that opportunity to be vocal. So maybe Jason and Jalen don't have those leadership qualities yet because Marcus is there. So maybe a blessing in disguise could be Marcus leaves or Kemba leaves, and then they have more of a voice and can lead the team their own way, and that might motivate them to become better players.
Sam, what do you think? I know you're the biggest Marcus guy I've ever met, so... What's your thought?
I think Jalen, at the very least, has decent leadership qualities already. Yep. I mean, he seems to be vocal, at least in the press conferences. He always says the right thing. And I don't know if it's just Tatum's personality where he doesn't say much, and at least in the press conferences. I'm sure he's a good teammate. I've never heard complaints about either of those guys. I don't know. That's an interesting point though, because it's absolutely true. If you don't have to be the one to say stuff, you just don't. I mean, why would you?
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, if you're just going to be the number one scoring option on a team, you just walk in, you score some hoops, you make your money, you leave, less stress, and go home to Deuce, and you're fine.
Sure,
So I would be okay with Kemba leaving, but I don't know. It's just a weird spot. It's not a great spot.
Yeah, it sucks for me because one, I do like Kemba, and that's not why it sucks completely. But like, he really is a guy they brought in. They had high hopes for. They paid him. He was a big free agent signing, and if they trade him, it's not a great look for other free agents that would want to sign.
Story
and
of
also,
the Celtics life.
Yeah, I mean, the poor guy. I just don't think he's a good fit at this point. I mean, I think he could be a number one scoring option somewhere again? I'm not sure because he was here for a little bit before he got
First
hurt.
half of last season, yeah.
Yeah, he was, and he was
All-star
great.
starter.
Yeah. But if he's not going to be, I mean, I don't think he can fit into that third scoring option role. He just doesn't seem to be comfortable doing it. And I don't think it's a him problem in terms of attitude. I think he would do anything to help the team win. I just think he's been playing like that for so long. It's hard for him to adjust. And, he's not used to, he probably doesn't have as much wiggle room with mistakes he can make. Because he's got other guys out there. Like, he's getting criticized when he has a rough game. If he's in Charlotte and he has a rough game, it's like, well, what else? What's the other game plan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a rhythm guy. I talked about it in my podcast right before the All-Star break. Like, I was petrified because he played so well when they went 4-1 before the All-Star break, and I was just like, this All-Star break is going to destroy his rhythm. To not play for 5 or 6 days after playing for, I think they had 5 games in 7 days, and he only missed one of those games. So the fact that, he could really play in 4 games in about a week, and he played really well. I think he scored 20 points in every single one of those games. He was shooting the ball well, and then he just stopped playing. He probably just stopped playing basketball for a week. And since then, he's just a rhythm guy, and you can't have rhythm if you're the third scoring option.
Right.
He was in Charlotte, and that's all that they had. And maybe Steve, what's the Magic's coach name? Steve Clifford, right?
Steve
Is that
Clifford?
his name? Yeah. And maybe Steve Clifford, knowing that Cole Anthony's hurt, Markelle Fultz isn't coming out, maybe he can get Kemba back into his rhythm between him and Vujacic, and Terrence Ross off the bench, and maybe they can get Kemba's rhythm back, and then they can sell him to another team or trade him to another team because there's only 1 year left on that deal, and then Kemba, is going to be that next like George Hill type player that's going to be really old, a veteran that will come off the bench and help a team.
Yeah, and I think that is what his role could be if. I don't know, because Sam, you've talked about Kemba potentially coming off the bench for the Celtics, which I think could be good, but you don't really want to pay your bench guy $38 million a year. That's not
true.
ideal.
Can you restructure contracts in the league? I'm not saying that he would do it, but can you?
I don't think you can like you can with the NFL. I mean, I could be wrong. The NBA
you should be able to. I don't understand why they wouldn't let you.
Yeah, well,
I know that I wouldn't be surprised if you can, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and it's surprising that you can't because I feel like it is such a player-driven league, and the way that the Players Association is so vocal and on, I don't want to say good terms, but probably better terms than all the other leagues with their owners. I'm surprised that you can, like the way that the NFL can. But I think the reason is because I don't think there's any guaranteed money in the NBA like there is the NFL. Mm-hmm. Because if you could just say, hey, Kemba, here's $20 million guaranteed. But we're only going to pay you $5 million this year. You're actually going to make the same amount as Daniel Tice. Why don't you come back, and play for us? That would be ideal.
Yeah, it's just a tough situation because, like you both said, you like the guy. It's just not the best fit for the team right now. But you brought something up earlier, Tristan Thompson issues. Obviously, Kemba and Jaylen Brown calling out Kevin O'Connor on Twitter. Apparently, on the Ringer podcast, it was said that Tristan Thompson likes to go out, break COVID protocol. This is the second time he's been in health and safety protocols this season, and there was issues with him in the locker room. How much do you buy that? Obviously, Brown and Kemba came out and said, this is cap. Jaylen Brown tweeting the hat emoji. Do you buy into it at all? Do you think there is some sort of an issue there, or do you think Tristan Thompson should stay on this team? Should he get traded? Just what's your thoughts on Thompson so far this season and going past the trade deadline?
I've really had no problem with him. I mean, my expectation of him was to be miserably defensively and rebound the ball, and that's what he's done. But him setting a poor example for the other guys going out and about and thinking that he's untouchable, that's not a great example. And then again, here's the little negative part about Brad Stevens. It's not like Brad Stevens is going to tell him what to do and tell him to stop doing it. So
Right.
So I feel like, I'm a big Brad Stevens fan. I don't think they should get rid of him, but in a situation like this, you wish maybe there was a different coach to tell Tristan to, shut the F up, go home and follow the rules that are set in place. But Tristan has his rings. He has the Kardashians. He has his money. So what does he care? I don't blame him for that. But at the same time, you also can't be selfish.
For sure. I think if Tristan Thompson played yesterday, they win.
Absolutely, because there's no way they have
to big time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one reason I'm not overly. I mean, obviously, if you have to trade between or pick between him and like Marcus, you trade him. But it's nice having that third big man around that you can put in situations like that, so you don't get killed.
Yeah, because the other thing
without him, they don't have it. That was what Cantor was.
Yeah, exactly. I hate to talk about the future so much, but if you think about it, Tice is a free agent this year. Tice is gone. And if you trade Tristan Thompson and for God forbid the Time Lord gets hurt, you have nobody.
Grant Williams at center show. It's the Grant Williams show at that point.
We're gonna play Houston Rockets Mike D'Antoni small ball, and we're gonna have like our wannabe PJ Tucker you being our center, and that's just not going to work. So whether he's being selfish, whether he would have helped yesterday, I think Tristan Thompson helps in the playoffs. Kind of gives us that Marcus Morris type attitude, if you will. The tough guy. You want to punch me in the face? Cool, I'll punch you right back. And I think that will help the Celtics if they do make the playoffs, God forbid, if they don't. But if you get rid of Thompson and Tice walks, because let's be honest, Tice is going to get overpaid by someone. I mean, Tice is going to get $14-15 million. And if the Time Lord gets hurt, we're screwed. So it's almost like we have to kind of deal with the Tristan Thompson thing for the next year and a half or so.
Mm-hmm. And I'm the biggest Grant Williams fan in the world. I don't know if you know that. I absolutely love Grant Williams.
Well, if I knew that, I wouldn't have come on this podcast. No.
Oh, no. No.
I'm a big Brandon Clark fan. I wanted them to draft Brandon Clark instead of Grant. That's
valid.
I'll take
I
that.
would have even liked that too.
Okay.
But
right.
he's
a very nice guy, though.
Yeah.
He is a very nice guy. I work for Big Night Entertainment Group, and they have this sport card thing called Big Night Breaks. And Grant Williams and Taco came on to do sports cards with us, and Grant and Taco were awesome. So off the court, Grant Williams, 2 thumbs up.
No, yeah, my thing is, and we won't spend too long on Grant Williams. I've talked about him in the last 4 shows, it feels like, but I just think they're playing him a little bit out of position. Obviously, you want him to play some 4 and a lot of small ball 5, and with the 3 bigs they have this year, he's playing a lot of 3. It feels like at times, which definitely isn't his position, and that's not an excuse. He needs to be better switching on defense, playing on the perimeter and stuff, and I think he can get better, but that's just been my thing, because last year in the bubble, he was phenomenal. So I've always just had a soft spot for Grant, I guess you can say. But
well, one thing about Grant that I've always liked, even though I'm not a fan of him as a player, he always stays ready.
Yes.
A lot of people in their first or second year, being coach decision DNPs for 4 or 5 games. For him to come out and hit a corner 3 or get a couple rebounds and step in, not a lot of young guys could make those type of plays being benched for a few games. So that is one thing I have liked about Grant, the player.
It's not even a few games. It'll be like the whole game, and then they're like, all right, go ahead, 4th quarter, go out there, and he's fine.
Yeah, there you go.
See, this year, for some reason, I'm not catching all the Grant. I mean, I know he hasn't been terrific defensively. But I feel like he does a lot of positive things when he's out there. It doesn't mean he's a terrific player, but I do see positives when he's out there, and I think he has a little bit of potential to be a good role player. I mean, I'm not saying he's untouchable or a great player or anything like that, but I see a lot of positives. Gets a lot of hustle rebounds, knocks down. I feel like when he shoots, it's going to go in every time. He's on that level for me right now.
I mean, he's definitely made a huge improvement. I mean, didn't he miss his first 25 3-pointers?
25,
or something like that. I mean, he's definitely made an improvement. He, hopefully he could be everything that Brad wishes Semi was. because I think Brad has a very soft spot for
Chevy had a good game yesterday, right?
It was okay.
I remember.
I mean, if you had to pick or choose between the two, Grant definitely played better than Shemi.
Yeah.
I feel like you had to pick or choose
I
last.
agree.
But I feel like Shemi is everything Brad has always wanted. Grant has always been what Shemi wants Brad to be, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, 100%. I would agree. Something else, this all started with us talking about locker rooms. The Celtics apparently have such a small locker room that in order to keep up with COVID protocols, they have split it into two. So the younger guys are in one space and the vets are apparently in another, which Kevin O'Connor and Chris Vernon on the same show where they got a little bit, called out by Jalen and Kemba for crapping on Tristan Thompson a little bit. They talked about how that could contribute to some chemistry issues. Obviously, if you're putting all the young guys in one space and you put Jason Tatum and the big guys, big stars, the veterans in another, they're not going to have that chance to click. And maybe some other teams are because their locker rooms are bigger, but the Celtics one is too small to follow COVID protocols. Do you think that's having any impact? Because I feel like there is some sort of trust issues going on. At least when Jason Tatum gets the ball, I feel like it's always going to, he's going to put up a shot and not pass. But what do you think that could be affecting this year?
It could be. I used to work at the Garden, and it is a very, very, very small locker room. But then when you go, but because I'm a season ticket holder, I've been able to get a tour of the Arbac Center locker room, and it is night and day. The
Really?
difference for the size, like it's ginormous.
Wow.
Comparatively. I think this year, whether the locker rooms are separate or not, I feel like, and I'm sorry that I'm bringing up the Patriots again, but I just feel like it's such an easy comparison. Like, Bill Belichick loves practice. Bill Belichick didn't get OTAs or preseason games last year. And I feel like if these guys all could practice together and be around each other more versus jump on a plane, sit on the hotel room, see each other at shoot around, and then go home, it'd be a lot different. Because I feel like Brad is the type of coach where if you can get more time together behind the scenes, you can gel better than trying to gel on the fly during a game. So the locker room thing, sure, but I feel like it's more, does Jason Tatum trust any of these guys with their playmaking ability? I had Jared Weiss from The Athletic on my podcast that I released yesterday, and he was talking about the growth of Jalen and Jason's playmaking is slower than we were hoping because of what else is out there. Like if you're Jason Tatum and you're attacking the rim and you see Grant Williams or Shemi Ojeleye in the corner, you're probably going to take a one-footed Dirk Nowitzki fadeaway versus passing the ball up. But if they practice more and have more 5-on-5 and can run, different offensive sets in practice, and Jason can see those guys hitting those shots in practice, he might have more faith in them during a game versus, well, hopefully this goes in. If not, we're probably going to lose again.
100%. 100%.
Makes you wonder if, like during the playoffs, if they'll be, if they get there, a better team. Because I'm pretty sure in the playoffs, at least this year, they'll be able to practice. They'll have the time. They're not going to be flying around all the time. They're going to be in one place for a couple days at a time.
Well, that's why I'm really looking forward to, if the Celtics do make a trade on the 25th. They obviously have 2 games on the road against the Bucks and then the Thunder. And then they have 7 home games. Like they're literally home with fans, and they're home for 2 weeks. So I think there's only one back-to-back. I think it's like the 76ers and then the Knicks. They play back-to-back. But like they have time to even say, hey, I know it's an off day, but can you guys just come in? Can you guys just drive to Brighton for like an hour and a half and try and practice, because we have a brand new team, hopefully, if they do make trades, because that's the other thing. Like Celtics fans are going to need to be patient. Like this team, if they do make trades, isn't going to be good overnight. So this 7-game home stretch, them being at home, sleeping in their own beds, hopefully practicing, could be a huge blessing in disguise.
Patience never been the strong suit of Celtics fandom, which I mean, fair enough. When the last,
This is how we are as people.
Trade deadline deal Danny did was what?
Isaiah.
No, it was Bird for a second.
Yeah,
I can't even. Yeah, it was nothing of significance. But yeah, Isaiah Thomas probably the most significant
Bird,
one.
actually, not a bad player before all the stuff. I remember being like really pissed when that happened.
Yeah, no, when
he was decent. He was promising.
In the Vegas Summer League, he was really, really good, and then he was an idiot.
Unfortunate.
Man, I don't understand that stuff. Like, I mean, you're gonna get caught, right?
Yeah,
come on.
Especially like this Deshaun Watson thing that's been going on. Like,
dude, what?
People are coming out of the woodwork. But but as a player, you gotta know that
you got
someone
is going to be gunning
you
for
gotta
you.
know. As a person, you gotta know. Like, come on, man, just ridiculous.
Which I hate to go back to Tristan Thompson, but like for a guy who's been caught cheating in public, I'm surprised he's going out so much. Like, that's bizarre.
Tristan Thompson, what a guy. But wrapping back around to trade deadline stuff. A few other names out there just came out today. Malcolm Brogdon and or Domantas Sabonis apparently available.
Oh my goodness!
Price is probably a little high, but if you're gonna make a splash,
Brogdon is worth the price.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I know, Sam, you're a huge Brogdon guy, but
what do you
think about that?
So if Danny says, how about 2 firsts and Marcus Smart for Brogdon, what are you saying?
Sam?
Saying, can I please give you something other than Marcus Smart?
Well, that's the whole thing. I'm wondering if the Pacers would be willing to deal with Danny again if all the rumors are true about the Miles Turner thing and that not going well. But I feel like either way, they are going to ask a lot for an all-star and a former Rookie of the Year.
For sure.
If I'm the Pacers, I think Kemba has value, at least to them. Listen. Because he's going to be a top scoring option on that team. He's not going to sit behind 2, all-star forwards. He's going to be.
That is very true because, with TJ Warren probably being their best scoring option outside of Sabonis, Kemba could be the number 1 scorer there. Miles Turner's your number 2 or number 3, I should say. And then you have TJ Warren. I mean, that's actually a really good thought there.
Bring him back.
But obviously he doesn't have a high value for his name right now. He's been struggling. And if you're the Pacers, you're going to play hardball.
Yeah, because Malcolm Brogdon isn't a number 1.
Yeah,
and he showed that. He's shown that.
Yeah, year, but he can definitely. Oh wow, Malcolm Brogdon as the 3rd scoring option on the Celtics team, and the fact that he could defend. I'm not saying as well as Marcus. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he can defend like really Marcus. Well. And he can definitely, I think, run an offense better than Marcus. I feel like the Celtics kind of forced Marcus to be a point guard, because at Oklahoma State he was not. You could say that he was Cade Cunningham almost, just like, get me the ball and I'm going to shoot it and hopefully this works out. So, yeah, I kind of like that Malcolm Brogdon could help the Celtics. Kemba Walker could help the Pacers. Definitely a different option. Kemba's pretty good with the pick and roll. Him and Miles Turner could work out well. Yeah,
I mean, you live in a dream world here.
Let
me dream for a second. I'm going to pitch something to you, right? You throw Kemba Walker, Romeo Langford, who's from Indiana, the connection there. You throw Kemba, Romeo, and if they want a second or a first, fine, for Brogdon, right? Whatever the price is, right? Don't give up Smart in that deal. You trade Smart and 2 firsts for Gordon and Fournier. Then you run, what would that be? Brogdon, Jalen, Jason,
there, Chief.
Aaron. What are you saying? Well, I know you don't want to give up Smart, but if you're getting Brogdon.
My only defense to that is I don't think you can trade that many first-round picks in a row because I don't think you can trade back-to-back years first-round picks. So if you're going to be trading 4 first-round picks, we're looking at like 2030.
Well, I know the Rockets did it because they did pick swaps in some of the years, which I guess wouldn't be as valuable for the Celtics. But like, if you want to work around it, you can do some protection stuff. Yeah.
The Pacers will probably still be good. So them doing a pick swap with the Celtics probably isn't ideal. But obviously the Magic will probably take whatever they can. So, I mean, that'd be crazy. The fact that you could roll out a starting lineup of Malcolm Brogdon, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Aaron Gordon, and Daniel Tice this season. That would be
with Fournier off the bench.
Yeah, and Fournier off the bench, Time Lord, Peyton off the bench, and hopefully, 22-point Jeff Teague off the bench too.
22-point Jeff Teague, oh man.
If I'm the Celtics, though, I'm doing anything I can to get Kemba in that deal for Brogdon. I will give up the farm.
Romeo's from Indy.
I'll give Romeo. They can have Smith. I'd even throw in Pritchard if you take one of those guys out.
I would be the happiest person in the world if they got rid of Romeo Langford.
Really?
I hated that pick from day one. If you Google Romeo Langford injuries, I swear to God, he got injured like during recess when he was younger. Like he's just made of glass. And the fact that he hasn't played all year, I know the COVID thing just happened, but that is so alarming to me. And I just feel like they wasted a huge pick there. And I'm not saying they should have traded up to get Tyler Hero because Pat Riley hates Danny Ainge and he was going to do everything that he could. But like there are better players from that draft class than Romeo Langford ever will be getting drafted after him. And I just think that was a huge waste of a pick because you could have gotten Brandon Clark and Grant Williams in that spot, or even not trade and get Mattis Thybulle, who has clearly proved himself to be a solid NBA player.
For sure. I mean, I'm looking at guys that are drafted after, right? You got Sekou Doumbouya, who hasn't turned into much, but still has at least played games.
Yep.
Chuma Okeke this year has been good. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was right after that. Then Thybulle and Clark went 2021. Darius Baisley went one pick after Grant Williams.
Yeah, I know.
And then Keldon Johnson went 29, and he's having a phenomenal season right now.
Yeah,
so. You lit them up in San Antonio. That was frustrating to watch.
Kevin Porter Jr., KPJ 132. So
yeah, it's crazy to think about, and just the fact that this kid's played what? Has he even played 20 games?
I can Google it right now, but I would hazard a guess.
It's just, I don't know. I just feel like they imagine if they had Nicholas Alexander-Walker, because then 32 games. So if they had Nicholas Alexander-Walker, there's your backup point guard, and you don't draft Peyton Pritchard. Again, we all like Peyton. It's great, but like they could have done something different. Maybe get a younger big man. That way you don't sign. That way you don't sign Tristan Thompson, and then you're not hard capped, and then this trade deadline becomes much more easier. So it's just crazy how poorly they've drafted over the last few years. But then you could say, well, they drafted Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Marcus Smart.
And Rozier.
And Rozier. So, yeah, I don't know.
Robert Williams.
Like Danny's very up and down, and hopefully in the next 48 hours he's up.
I feel like it was up with those guys and low-key trending down ever since, right? Like since the Jaylen Brown pick. Robert Williams, I guess now, but like since then, like since Jason Tatum, he hasn't drafted anyone good. Yeah.
Even Robert Williams.
Yeah. Well, sure. Like
we don't know yet, I guess.
We don't know yet, but I mean, obviously the past month
he is on the fast rise.
Yes. Which is great to see. And do you guys want Robert Williams to start, or do you like the fact that he brings the energy off the bench? Because I like the latter.
I trust Brad's discretion, so if he wants to bring him off the bench, I agree, because I like the energy. I agree with that. You know, I know Brad's stubborn in terms of moving guys into the starting lineup. I mean, just look at Isaiah Thomas. It took Marcus Smart getting hurt for him to start.
Mm-hmm.
I remember he was the sixth man for like half a season, and then opening night comes and he still wasn't starting.
Yep.
You know?
I mean, my thing with Robert Williams is I was upset earlier on when he started playing well, but he's starting to close out games now, which is more important to me than actually starting.
Yeah,
right. And
I agree with Jack.
Amen.
So that's my standpoint. Yeah,
I don't care who starts, and I think they do that. I think the closing games. I mean, this isn't like a hot take or big brain play by me, but it's Brad's way of giving him that starting role without starting him because he wants to save those minutes for the end of the game. You know, we've heard about some kind of minutes restriction from Robert Williams. Why would you use him at the beginning of the game instead of the end?
Yeah, and I think that also gives Robert some confidence to know that the best players are out on the floor at the end of the game for both teams, and he's a part of that. And I think that helps his confidence a great deal. I just really hope that jumper that he hit in the fourth quarter, if he can get that KG mid-range jumper going, I'll give him all the time in the world to do it. But if he can get it before his rookie deal's over, that's going to be a really, really nice feature for this team going forward.
Beautiful.
And it's been something he's worked on. I remember the first game he played in Summer League, he hit one, and I was like, wow. I remember watching it. So it's something he's always been doing, and jump shots are things that we've seen guys learn in the league. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, for sure. That's exciting. And just to get to Romeo real quick, I'm excited for him to get back because he's got a big-time opportunity in front of him. I do agree, like, he's been hurt and it sucks. But when he has played a few games, he's made an impact, at least on the defensive end. And it's funny, I say this to Jack all the time, they played him with a torn ligament in his wrist in the playoffs. Like, what? Like they must have valued him super high. How much can he give you if he doesn't have a right wrist?
Yeah, especially when his jump shot was broken to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, like
he's
like
got
it's
a
crazy.
massive opportunity with the lack of wing depth they have on this team.
Yeah.
The thing is, if they do get Evan Fournier and Brad sticks to those 8 or 9 guys, he might not get an opportunity.
Agree. Yep.
And that could be even worse because not only do you have Langford on the bench, then you also have Nesmith on the bench for a guy who's going to be gone in literally less than 90 days.
Yeah.
Like
brutal.
That's not a great look. I'd be pretty upset if I was Romeo and Nesmith. Mm-hmm. But like at the same time, it's a business and you're young and nut up and shut up.
Exactly.
I know Danny has said, he's really looking to do something that's going to benefit them past this year. So I'm not sure about Fournier. I don't know if he's.
Me neither. I don't think it works.
Yeah, I don't know if Danny loves that because, like I said, I mean, he wants, and the Gordon thing does make sense because that's someone that's on the younger side. He's not super young or anything, but he's under contract for another season. He seems like he wants to play here. I mean, he basically said, "I want to play for the Celtics." In his requests, he wants to, play on a contending team. The Celtics are under 500. Let's ignore that because realistically, they should be. They should be a contending team. That's why everyone's so upset. He wants to play in a big market city, so that narrows it down from other contending teams like Portland and Denver that have shown interest because he wants to be marketable.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense for them to get Aaron Gordon, and the fact that his contract is actually less dollars next year than it is this year. I think it goes down $2 million.
Yeah, 8.1 to 6.4 or 16.4. Sorry.
Yeah,
he only makes. I was going to say he doesn't make 10 million. I was like, what?
I missed the one at the start of the number.
But Sam, like you said, with the point of Danny's trying to do something for the future, and that's why I really think that he needs to make a decision if he wants Aaron Gordon or Marcus Smart on his team going forward. And what if he does trade Marcus for Aaron Gordon, then I think we have our decision. And if he doesn't, then we might be giving up a lot of picks for someone that is only going to be around for 18 months or so. But the Evan Fournier thing is so true because Evan Fournier is going to be here for 90 days, maybe 100 if they go on a little bit of a run. But I think they like him because he is Gordon Hayward.
Yeah. There you go.
Comparatively, I'm not saying he's as
exactly
good. What I'm saying is he's a guy that can shoot the ball, has no problem being the third or fourth option, can create. He is terrible at defense, so that's not ideal. But he can help the bench with the scoring since Nesmith hasn't been able to do that. Jeff Teague is bipolar with his offensive game, and Peyton hasn't really shown up a lot lately. So I get that part, but I really think Danny might be looking at this year as a transition year to make the team better for the next 3 or 4 years because he only has 3 years to fix this. Because starting next season, Jalen only has 3 years left.
Yeah.
So he has 3 years to try and get Jason and Jalen and maybe Brad, because I think Brad still has 4 years left on his deal. Because we could be, in 4 years, we could all jump on together and be talking about who we want as the number 3 pick in the NBA draft. It's just crazy it's crazy to think about. So I do think Sam's right where Danny wants to look for the future.
Now I don't want to think about being back in the lottery. Those were not fun years, even when we were getting the picks right. But I want to talk about a couple more guys, coming through the woodworks here at the trade deadline. First of all, the Raptors, as much as the Celtics are a mess, the Raptors are a real mess right now. That is wow. Pascal Siakam just got fined $50,000 for swearing or giving choice words at Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse got fined money for complaining after the game or throwing his mask
Nick
behind
Nurse
the scorer's table.
I'm glad he's getting berated by his players. That way he has a reason to look so bewildered just standing there. He just can't believe what he's hearing or seeing in front of him. Good.
But something that came out is a quote unquote cheap option is why am I forgetting the name? Powell.
Norman Powell.
Norman Powell. I couldn't think of his first name. I was going to call him Miles Powell.
I would streak down Causeway if they got Norman Powell. He is the perfect bench guy for this team. He can come out, he can score, he can defend. He has the same type of grit as Marcus Smart does. He's on my fantasy team, so I just know how well he does, but he can drop 18, 19 points a game off a bench. And he did that even during the bubble and during No, wait, he was hurt, I believe, when they won the championship with the Raptors. I believe he was hurt.
So.
I
think he was. I know
hurt.
OG was. I know OG
Yeah.
was. I think Powell was.
Yeah, it was either OG or Powell was when they won the championship with Kawhi. But Norman Powell on this team, again, kind of fills that Gordon Hayward role, but a much better defender and more grit. I don't know what you have to give up for him. I don't know what his contract situation's like, but he would be. I'd be honest with you. I think if his contract's better than Aaron Gordon, I would rather have him on the team because I think he can do a little bit more than Aaron Gordon can.
He makes 10.8 this year and has a team option for 11.6 next year. So.
Which they can pick up.
Yeah. Which they can absolutely pick up. But like he's just that, and he's a veteran. He could be a good locker room presence too. I don't know Aaron Gordon's locker room presence, but like he's someone that what did Keith Smith say yesterday on Twitter about what the Celtics are looking for? Someone that can switch on defense.
Yeah, defense.
Norman Powell can do that. Norman Powell can guard 1 through 4.
There you go. He's not tall, but like you said, he is a Marcus Smart-esque defender, as you saw getting in a fight in the bubble last year.
Yeah,
two guys colliding.
Yeah, those two guys can get after it for sure.
Norman Powell's absolutely lighting it up this season. Like you said, you have him on your fantasy team, though, averaging 19.5 3 rebounds on 49.5 43.4 shooting, which is ridiculous and exactly like you said.
And that's a bench guy. I mean, he started off the year off the bench, but he's been starting a lot lately, which is probably why his numbers are a little bit higher because OG got hurt. They were really messed up towards the All-Star break with COVID as well. So,
I mean, you got to be really messed up to lose to the Rockets at this point. Like that's like you're in the toilet at that point. Like,
that's when the GM goes into the office and like picks up the phone.
But it's just so crazy to think about that they won the championship a few years ago, 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, crazy.
And literally, you could lose Kyle Lowry. They might fire Nick Nurse. They could lose Norman Powell, and they could literally be a tanking team next season in literally less than 3 seasons. That just shows how crazy the NBA is.
And it was worth it to get that ring, though. I mean, I would still make the moves for them then. I'd trade for Kawhi, take that ring, and then
Danny Ainge sold his soul to the devil to get Kevin Garnett, and right now, and we got a championship. We should have gotten 2 if KG didn't get hurt in 2009.
Even 3.
Yeah.
Should have won. I mean, 4. I mean, if you mention 2009, KG gets hurt, 2010 Perk gets hurt, and they blow 3-2 lead against Miami in 2012. I mean, that was another one they could have.
That one I'm okay with because I was at Game 6 and I saw LeBron James. And I'll be honest with you, it may not be a hot take for a lot of Celtics fans, but after that game, I stopped hating LeBron James.
Oh,
that was one of the
LeBron.
No. I hate LeBron off the court, minus the school, like that school that he built. I hate all the BS and drama that he throws out there. But after watching him drop, I think it was 42 points in that game against the Celtics and that team, I said, I respect you as a basketball player, good sir.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I will always boo LeBron James. I will always boo LeBron James, but after that, I literally just kind of gave him a golf clap because that was I've never seen anything like that before in my life. That was unbelievable.
Sam, biggest LeBron hater I've ever met in my life. So
I got the T-shirt right there.
Yeah. You guys buy a lot of jerseys. I have a curse.
Jack
I have
does.
A curse with jerseys. I can't buy jerseys.
I buy fake ones. Fake ones though.
So I went to the Celtics Pro Shop back in the summer of 2007, and I bought a brand new, authentic Al Jefferson jersey. Ripped off the tags. Came home, sat down. Breaking news: Al Jefferson gets traded. I have never purchased a Celtics jersey since.
Maybe you should go and buy yourself a Kemba jersey.
Well, no, if it was up to me, I'd probably buy a Romeo Langford jersey or something.
A Romeo jersey.
But even when the Pats had Asante Samuel, I bought an Asante Samuel jersey, and then like 2 years later he was gone. So I refused to buy jerseys. So
Timmy G, you're beating me to the punch with the questions. You're giving me, oh my God, I was so pumped. I mean, we're still gonna do it, but you want to?
Let's do it right now. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go right
okay.
ahead, Sam.
Yeah, every time we have a first-time guest on, I have a series of fan questions for them.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So let's see. Number 1 is usually. Oh, what is number 1? Oh, all right. Do you have a favorite piece of? Oh, it's been so long since we had a first-timer.
I know. I'm excited.
I'm so pumped. We gotta have more people on. Favorite piece of Celtics memorabilia? Could be jersey, autograph, ticket stub.
I
you
have
name it.
An authentic.
And why? What's the story behind it?
I have an authentic 2008 NBA Finals. Well, I have it's two Paul Pierce things. So I have, and both are from the NBA Finals. I don't know if you guys saw the Mitchell and Ness thing that came out 2 years ago after Paul Pierce retired. It was like one of 100, or there were only 100 of them that were made. It was an authentic piece of the parquet from, when they won the championship, and then an authentic 2008 Paul Pierce championship jersey autographed.
Oh my goodness.
I'll send you guys a picture of it when we're done here.
Please do. That's awesome.
And then I also I was at Game 6 when they won it in 2008, and Paul Pierce was on the ticket, and I have that signed as well. So those are probably my two pieces. I've had season tickets for this will be my 15th season. I've had them since.
So jealous. That's like one of my life goals is to have season tickets.
Well, it worked out really well for me because I got them the year that they lost 18 in a row. And I'm in the last row. I'm in the last row of the balcony. I sit center court, and at the time, they were $10 a piece per ticket.
Oh my god!
But then the next season, when they got KG, they jumped up to $40 a piece. So I think I only paid like $125 to go to all the final games in 07 or in 08. But now I'd probably have to pay like $300 or $400. So
wow, that's amazing though. Holy shit!
Yeah,
that's
crazy. Incredible.
The only thing I can think of that rivals that is Max Letterman has an Emmy, but I think I still might take the Paul Pierce.
Yeah, no,
he flexes the Emmy. Well, that's not Celtic. Well, yeah, it is because it's a documentary.
Yeah.
I'll send you a picture of it. It's a really cool setup. I had to pay a good chunk of change for it, but well worth it.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, Sam. What's next? What's the next one you do?
So I guess you kind of already answered, but I was going to say, what's your favorite moment that you've been to at the Garden?
Even though 2008, when they won the championship, was incredible, my favorite moment at the Garden was Game 7, Round 2. LeBron, Paul Pierce, both dropped 40, both going back-to-back.
You've been there. What else have you been there for? I mean, you've got all the stories.
Yeah.
I mean, you name it. I was there, for Isaiah after he lost his sister.
I was at that.
I'll put it to you this way: I think I've missed one playoff game since 07, and I go to about 35 out of the 41 home games.
Wow,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I go. I've been the only game that I hate that I don't know if this is the next question, but the one moment wish I was at. I was not at the Houston Rockets Celtics game where Smart picked up those 2 offensive fouls.
That's too funny.
I was not at that game, and I will forever hate myself for it. But I had.
That actually is the next question.
Yeah.
Damn it. But that's fine. Keep going.
But that's probably the one moment I wish I saw. But I work in the concert industry, and we had I think, to be honest with you, I think we had Sting where I was, and that was just something that as manager in my position I couldn't miss. And watching it in my office, luckily I didn't get fired because I was losing my mind. So
wow,
my story with that game is I was on vacation in London when that game was happening. So it was like 4 a.m.
Oh my god!
And I was obviously like going nuts, but I had to contain myself.
Yeah,
I had to be composed. I couldn't scream or anything because pretty sure where we were staying, the walls were thin enough where I would have woke people up and stuff like that. But I was just sitting there on my iPad, I was like, oh my god, that just happened. That's the most insane thing. Let's see. Wow, that's anything else you've missed? You must have been at the Paul Pierce retirement game.
Yeah, I was at
the one
Paul
where
Pierce.
The shot.
I was at the Paul Pierce retirement game. I was at the Clippers game where he hit that shot, and then right after that game is when the Patriots came back against the Falcons.
That was a great day.
That was a stressful day.
I have the headband right here.
You were at the Kelly Olynyk game where he fought Kelly Oubre.
Yeah, I was at that game. I was also at the Kelly Olynyk game where he went off against the Wizards. I was at the Jason Terry game where LeBron just absolutely murdered him. I've seen it all.
Wow.
I would say if you were to name the top 25 memories from the Celtics over the last 15 years, I have probably been to 23 out of the 25 of them. I'm very fortunate in that aspect.
Very jealous.
I'm so jealous. Like that's the goal, is to have season tickets and be able to like use them instead of like doing it as like a business. Like you can just enjoy, being immersed in the lore.
I always give like one set of tickets off to charity, and then the other like 4 or 5 I sell at face value, maybe a little bit higher, and that way I'm on a 10-month payment plan. That way I don't have to pay 1 month. It just covers for 1 month. Yeah. Usually the month before they ask for the playoff payment. So I'm not spending too much money at once. So.
Yeah, right.
There you go. And I'm so glad you said they were in the balcony, because Sam and I have had this fight. I say balcony is the better place to sit. He goes, what do you say, loge? I mean,
yeah. Now, do you ever sometimes sit in different seats? Do you ever like?
No, I mean, to be honest with you, my setup, and I hate to toot my own horn here, but my setup is
please
awesome.
Do. Please do.
I'm in the last row balcony, and I have a pillar next to me. So I have no one to the left of me for about 3 or 4 feet. So social distancing wise with what's going on, ideal. And then I have my friend to the right of me. I have no one behind me. And then we sneak in the little CVS sticky hooks, and then we can just put the stickers up against the wall and hang up our coats. So we don't have to like put them on the ground.
You got it made. Awesome. So do you go with the same buddy of yours every time? Like, do you guys both have season tickets?
So the first couple of years that I had season tickets, I had a buddy that I would go to every single game. And then after they traded Pierce, he's like, I'm out. And I was like, cool, I'm in. So I try and, bring as many different friends as I can. Sometimes I'll bring
mom. You got 2 tickets? 2 season tickets?
There's 2 tickets, yep. And then, every once in a while, the season ticket reps, they're very nice, and they give you like an upgrade. I have sat courtside once or twice. Just because of an upgrade.
Any good games courtside, or were they just,
I don't remember if it was a good game or not, but the one game I did sit courtside, I was 2 seats away from Gucci Mane, and it was the first time they had those, like, they wore the Irish looking jerseys last season.
Yeah.
The green and gold. It was like the very first time they wore those. Like that Tatum.
Was that Brooklyn?
Yeah, it was the Brooklyn game, and
that would have been a good one to be at, because they were berating Kyrie, even though he wasn't there, and he cried about it on social media.
That was the first game that Kyrie was supposed to come back, and I got a seat upgrade for that, so that was really cool.
That's crazy! Holy crap!
So next season when things get back to normal, if you guys want to join me for a game, let's make it happen.
All right.
I mean, you don't have to ask us twice.
Yeah, it's just tough this year because we only get 3 games. So I'm going to the Pelicans game on Monday, and then I'm going to the 76ers game, and then I'm going to the first of the 2 Heat games. So I'm basically going to like 1 game a month, because that's all that they would give you access to.
Yeah. So this season must be strange for you, because you're having to watch games from home.
Yeah, and I hate it.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it. Like, I have a routine and everything. I go to Halftime Pizza before. I go to the Greatest Bar.
Halftime Pizza is the best place.
I know, right?
I'm so pumped that you said that.
I love Halftime. I always joke with my friends, like, I have about 100 slices a year, and then I take 3 months off, and then I get right back to it. Because even if I were to go to a Bruins game or a concert, like, it's really hard for me to walk by. It's like the Chappelle show. You guys got any rocks? Like, that's kind of like how it is for me walking by Halftime Pizza.
Wow, amazing. Oh, that's great. Sam, your next question is usually, what's your favorite moment you've watched on TV? But I mean, you haven't really watched much on TV, so.
Well, no, that was the thing. I guess he wishes he was at, which is the Marcus.
Yeah, it was probably the Marcus. I think my favorite basketball moment ever was probably Christian Laettner hitting that shot against Duke, and I'm showing my age against Kentucky in '91 or '92, and I'm showing my age there because I was 7 or 8 when that happened. So
now, are you a big college basketball guy?
Yeah, I'm a big Dookie.
So, yeah. Okay, so who do you got this year with no Duke?
Well, I put a lot of money.
Who did you have?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you probably still don't have them.
Well, I selected Florida State to make the finals.
Okay, well, they're still in.
And they're still alive. That was the money that I put down in Las Vegas. So I might have to fly back out there if they make it.
There you go.
But I was bored last week, and I was at work, and I bet a parlay, and everything hit except Ohio State. I was furious.
Oh, dude, you ready for this? So I bet a parlay that North Texas would win by 7, and they did. And then I bet a parlay that Illinois wouldn't cover, at 29.5, and they didn't. And then my next one was the under 139.5 for Syracuse and San Diego State. I would have won $900, and they hit 6 3-pointers in 90 seconds, and they finished with 140 points.
Oh,
gosh.
Wow.
What was the bet to win 900? Because those odds must have not been great for at least. Well,
yeah, North Texas was the 13th. North Texas was the 13th seed.
Yeah.
And I did an alternative betting line for that, so that jacked up the prices. And then the Illinois game, I did the alternative line because it was at 28, so I did the alternative line at 29.5. And then the under for the Syracuse game was like plus 220. So it was really a no-brainer. Because Syracuse, the 2-3 zone, if San Diego State's not a very good 3-point shooting team, and then they brought in all the seniors and everyone just jacked up shots, because that was the worst part. It was a blowout. It was a 20-point game, and everyone was hitting threes. It crushed my soul.
Oh, man. It's brutal. Man, and then what's the last one? I always ask about jerseys. Is that it?
Jerseys. His favorite jersey is the Al Jefferson.
Is that your favorite one?
I mean, it's my favorite. It's my favorite memory, but I still have my Chauncey Billups champion jersey from when he was playing for the Celtics.
You got all the answers, man. That's crazy.
That might be one of the best answers we've got.
Top tier.
Adam Kaufman told us he had the Eddie House jersey. That was pretty great.
Yeah.
I have. So when the Celtics won the championship in 2008, I don't know how old you guys were, but they did like the DVD press tour.
Yeah.
And I went around to every single spot and got the DVD signed by everyone. And then I also had one of those T-shirt Eddie House jerseys, that everyone has. And I have that autograph Eddie House.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. You got. I think you've swept all the categories in terms of best dancing today. I was 23 when all this happened. So right out of college. So I just went bananas. When they won the championship. The day after they won the championship, I got a Celtics tattoo. My dad had season tickets from 1971 to 2000 until he passed away. And then, so literally the day after they won the championship, once I was sober enough to wake up and be okay, I went and I have a Celtics tattoo, like a big shamrock right here on my left shoulder blade. Oh, that's amazing.
So, yeah.
I hope they win a championship like relatively soon. I want to go to a Celtics parade, man. That just sounds like the best. I went to the Patriots one a couple years
ago. I've never been to a parade. So
You've never been
to
a parade?
No. I mean, I live in Rhode Island, so it's like my friends went to the Patriots a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, I went to the one after the Rams Super Bowl. I took the train in from Worcester because I went to school out there.
But I'm also not a big football guy.
Oh, okay. I've been to every parade except for the Rams one. And I'm not a big Bruins fan because obviously I'm a basketball guy, but like I still just went to the parade.
So Bruins, Red Sox, Pats, Celtics.
Yeah, in 04 when the Sox won, I was like 19, 20 in college. I was a sophomore. Arguably one of the best weeks of my life. Yeah.
Wow.
It was bananas.
That sounds amazing.
See them come back from 3-0 or 3-1, whatever it was.
Yeah. In back-to-back series too.
Yep.
That's elite. Man, well, yeah, like I said, I mean, these are all fake jerseys, so I can't say anything. I don't waste a lot of money, but
who cares? You're supporting the squad. Who cares if they're real or fake?
I have every player. Well, I actually shipped some to Sam's house because I was.
See, I know I have some. Hold on.
Yeah, and they're not yours. They're mine, and you're not keeping them, Sam. But I have everybody from last year's team, and I'm gonna have everybody on this year's team as well. So, like, when I say everybody, I have a Vincent Poirier jersey upstairs. Like, I have everybody on the teams. So
on my podcast last year, I had a Vincent Poirier section of the show, like a little skit where I would say a different French word every week and explain like what the French word was because I thought he was going to be good, and boy was I wrong.
You never know. Sometimes you never know. Yeah. I wish he was good. That would have been.
They usually don't miss on overseas guys when they bring them over, so that's very fair.
Yeah, you look at James Tice, perfect.
Wanamaker.
Yeah.
Is he still in the league? Is he on the Sixers still?
Yes, I believe he's still on the Sixers. Yeah, and Brad Wanamaker, he's been pretty good this year for the Warriors.
I didn't hate him last year either. I thought he was okay, but
I mean, gun to the head. Do you want Jeff Teague or Brad Wanamaker? You're taking Brad Wanamaker, but I mean, the guy led the league in free throw shooting last year, and I'm pretty sure that he would have helped the Celtics not miss six free throws last night in the fourth quarter.
The irony there, man. But yeah, I mean, that's all the questions we usually have. thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking time right after your trip to come on the show and talk with us. Make sure to go follow everybody. Go follow. I'm getting this up so I don't mess it up. But go follow Timmy G and his podcast, the Banner Banter Podcast, at Banner Banter 18 on Twitter. Is there anything else you want to say before we let you go here?
It was great talking to you guys. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully we can do it again soon.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%.
You're in the elite club of Celtics fans. I mean, you are one. You might have the most stories of anybody.
100%.
Yeah, I have some stories, and even back in the day, have you guys ever been to West End Johnny's?
I don't think so. No.
West End Johnny's, after the game, when Walter McCarty used to be the assistant coach, he would go downstairs and just hang out with a lot of the Celtics dancers. Let's just say that. I've seen.
And he left.
Yeah,
he went to go coach college.
Yeah, Jared Sullinger's dad used to hang out at the Greatest Bar before every game. Whenever the Magic or Michael Carter Williams, they're in whatever team he's playing and they're in town, his parents are always there before every game. A lot of parents go and brag about their kids at the Greatest Bar. If you guys ever go before a game, it's pretty funny hear and watch.
Amazing. I mean, I haven't had the chance to go out to a bar since I turned 21 because I turned 21 in quarantine. So big, unfortunate set of events there. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, a year ago almost to the day. My birthday's the trade deadline, so it'll either be really good or really bad this year.
Well,
so,
happy birthday in advance,
and
sorry in advance too if it doesn't work out.
We shall see. But
thanks for having me. It was I'm really glad to come on, and it was a lot of fun to chat with you guys.
For sure. Hopefully we can have you back on the off season so we can just have a whole podcast of you telling us stories because this was a great time. Appreciate you coming.
I mean, I'm sure we'll have some stories and I can break everything down on how all this COVID stuff works at the Garden for sure. Yeah, anytime.
100%. 100%. So
for sure.
Make sure to go follow Timmy G and his podcast at Banner Banter 18 on Twitter. You guys can follow us at Bannertown USA on Twitter. I'm Jack Simone NBA, and Sam, you can wrap us up.
Yeah, big shout out to Timmy G. Excellent guest. Had a blast today. Follow the Banner Banter podcast. Give it a listen. Big thanks to coming on again. That's our show for today. You can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA. We're out of here. Bye.